Hello, and welcome to the Legal Marketing Brief, the series where we showcase attorneys from across the country and learn about the strategies they use to market successful practices. I'm John Simpson, CEO of Converted Marketing. Today, we're sitting down with Dana Williams. Dana is a civil litigator in Texas with a background in probate, estate planning, real estate, and litigation. We talked to Dana about how she made the move to start her own practice and the key steps to her success. So with that, we hope you enjoy our discussion with Dana. So Dana, you have a really interesting path from Division I athlete to in-house lawyer to working in a firm and ultimately to starting your own practice. Can you talk us through that interesting pathway?
I will start by saying in the sixth grade, I had to go with my mom to the courthouse for some reason. I don't recall what that reason was, but I was able to watch local attorneys in the courtroom. I pretty quickly learned that I could argue and advocate for people and get paid to do it. And so that is when I decided that I was going to be a lawyer in about the sixth grade. And so from that point forward, it was just how do I get there? So I played basketball in college. I also played volleyball, but the basketball afforded me a full ride scholarship to go to Lamar University in Beaumont and save my parents the trouble of paying for college. And since I knew I wanted to be a lawyer and I would have to do postgraduate studies, I took that scholarship and graduated on time with honors. And I took that opportunity to prepare myself to go to law school. I worked at a law firm during law school. In working for that law firm, I learned that I wanted to do trial work. And so I focused on that. And my law school is excellent at training lawyers in how to try cases. They're world renowned for advocacy, South Texas College of Law at Houston. And so I participated in moot court mock trial while I was there and also took classes to make me a better trial lawyer. So when I graduated, I went to work in-house for State Farm Insurance, and they had a law office in Houston that did nothing but represent people who were insured by State Farm. And so whether that was a car wreck or an auto or a homeowner's policy or a business policy, we defended those cases in court. So I was a trial lawyer from the very beginning of my practice. I then went in-house with Progressive Insurance and I did the same thing, mostly auto there, because at that time they didn't have homeowners claim policies. So I did a lot of auto defense. And then in 2001, I had gone to lunch with some people and I found out that this firm was hiring and they were insurance defense and commercial litigation, but they did it for a private firm. And I went to work there at Martin Desir as an associate. I then became senior counsel. And then in 2005, I believe I became a partner. And I worked there another year or so. And I was happy with the work. I was good at the work. But personally, I had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old at home, and I just needed to spend more time with them. I have a wonderful husband who is doing a wonderful job as a father and supporting me in my profession. But I knew that you can redo your career, you cannot redo motherhood. So I left the partnership and a job that I loved and went on my own. And so I started the Williams firm in 2006 and I was in North Houston. I had an office near my home. And then in 2007, some girls I went to law school with here in Livingston were like, you need to come to Livingston. Like there's so much work and there's not enough lawyers. And I was like, well, I grew up in East Texas and I grew up in just 7 miles from downtown Livingston. But once I came, I met with a former judge named Judge Stephen Phillips. And he basically said, you should come and you should come now because we're all getting older and we're going to retire or we're going to pass away or we're going to stop practicing. And we don't have enough people who try cases. And so I did. And thank God he gave me a bunch of court appointments. I was mortified because they were criminal cases and I had never done criminal work. There were family cases and CPS cases and I never had done that. But what I quickly learned is that when you treat clients the same, whether it's a corporation or an insured or a accused person or a person in a CPS situation, when you treat them with respect and dignity and you focus on the law and making sure you represent them and advocate them to the best of your ability, it doesn't matter what type of law you practice, trial skills or trial skills. And so I applied what I knew to those areas, and I became a very prominent family lawyer and a very prominent criminal lawyer over time. And fortunately, the bar here was very gregarious. They were very kind. I could pick up the phone and I could call people who were more experienced in those areas to learn the intricacies of those practice areas. But once I got my feet wet and I got into court, then quickly I became the leader in the community, and people came to me to ask questions on how you try this issue or that issue, or how you get this evidence in or that evidence in. And so over time, I've now become a senior lawyer in town, which is hard to believe because it feels like I just got here. And so at the present time, I am practicing probate litigation, guardianship, real estate litigation, civil litigation, and we represent multiple small businesses in various types of disputes. And so I've been able to have a very prosperous career here in Livingston doing that.
It's interesting. I mean, look, starting from where you are now as a prominent trial lawyer, and as you went back through your history, there's a few things that I want to just highlight. One of them, you said that when you were in sixth grade, you were at a courthouse and you saw litigators in a courtroom and said, I want to do that. So that's
exactly right.
A strong-willed kid that's willing to say that at that point, right? And say, I want to be on that stage. But that sort of competitive strong will that seems to have continued because you played obviously athletics at a very high level in college. And I'm just sort of curious, like, do you see there's a certain part of your personality that makes you particularly adept at a trial lawyer?
I think for me, just playing team sports in general, and I try to pass this on to my children who also play team sports. When you play a sport at a high level, you have to learn to get along with people you may not like, you may not get along with, to accomplish a common goal. And I think whether you're in politics or you're in the law or you're in medicine, you're going to work with people from different backgrounds that have different perspectives, but that doesn't mean you can't find common ground. And so that's what I attribute to being able to put myself in another person's shoes to tell their story, and relate their story to people who are going to make the decisions about what happens in their lives.
So, Dana, if you were to describe your practice as it exists today, where do you spend most of your time?
I spend most of my time sorting out probate and real estate disputes and trying to resolve those in a way that is agreeable to my clients, but also is in their best interest in the long term. Sometimes people come to me and they just want to file a lawsuit. And I'm like, well, if we file a lawsuit, you may not win. So why don't we send a letter and try to reach common ground so you get some of what you want, but your interests are protected in the long term. And so a lot of it is counseling, because people just come in angry or they come in upset and they're not thinking about the whole picture, or they just want to get it done. Their parent has passed away and they just want to get it sorted out so they can move on. And a lot of times they're still grieving and they haven't taken the time to figure out what it is they really want. So it gives me an opportunity to point out what's important in the long term for them to take care of, and to tell them what the rules are with respect to how quickly you need to do it, or how much time you have. Go grieve. Take time to grieve. The law has built in time for you to do that and still accomplish what you need to accomplish to close out your parents' affairs.
So, here's one of the questions that I always like to ask, and that is, when Dana Williams is at her best, what do her clients say about her?
I believe her clients will say that she's relatable. I think her clients will say that she's a hard worker. And I believe they would say that I'm an excellent trial lawyer.
Now, because you are a trial lawyer, I added another question here, and that is, what would opposing counsel in some of your most challenging situations say about working with you?
I think they will say that I'm a professional, that I am going to do everything possible to make sure that my clients win, or that we've left it all on the table and that the jury or the judge made the decision on the facts, and that I'm an honest advocate. that I don't hide the ball, that I don't tell white lies or any lies, and that I'm very straightforward.
How do you define the success of your practice? And there are many ways to define success, but ultimately, what matters most for you in terms of success? How would you define it?
For me, it would be to use my practice to serve God, to be an active participant in my community, to make sure that my family is financially secure, and to be able to travel and see the world.
And I want to talk about the development of your practice a little bit. So,
Mhm.
obviously, converted marketing. We always love to hear the marketing stories. Sort of what worked as you built your practice. So, starting from the point at which you moved the firm, what are the marketing tactics that you have used during that time to help build your brand?
At first, I didn't have any money or marketing skills or any kind of resources. So I was fortunate enough to have a good friend who, at the time, we were just acquaintances. I had met her at a luncheon, and she had an office near where I lived. And I asked her if I could share space with her and pay her. And she says, well, I really don't have any space. So she literally gave me a spot in the kitchen next to the coffee pot. And I had like a folding card table and a new laptop. I built my practice from there. My dad had an air conditioning business, my parents did. And he told me, he said, if you make and manage the type of money that you do for that firm, a fraction of that will be plenty enough to make your family happy. But I need you to do a couple of things. You need to be honest with people, you need to be fair, and you need to tell people the truth and work really hard. If you do those things, you won't even have to buy business cards. And so for a while, it was just word of mouth. I went to my church and I said, I'm a lawyer, and I was active in my church, and they were kind enough at Fallbrook Church to send me people. And, whether it was a will or one guy stepped on a needle at a hotel, one guy got backed over by an 18 wheeler. And I had always been on the defense side. And I was like, I just think I should send you somewhere else. Like you should go and get a plaintiff's lawyer, because there are people who specialize in this that can help you recover if you're entitled to money. And he was like, no, no, I prayed about it and I want you. And I handled that case from 2007, and I tried it in 2010 in Laredo in federal court. And that was the first time I had ever tried a case as a plaintiff's lawyer. And I was so nervous because he had all these medical bills. This 18 wheeler had tried to turn around, but it backed over and it stopped on his leg. And he was a truck driver, and it was his whole life. And he had to tell the guy to move the truck. Like he was still under it saying, please pull up, like you're on my leg. And I was mortified because if I lost, not only would his medical bills not be paid, he would not recover anything for all the time he'd been off work. And we were blessed to be able to take that to a jury in Laredo and get a jury verdict in his favor in excess of $1 million. I wanted to get back to defense work because of the anxiety it caused me. I didn't try any more plaintiff's cases for probably maybe 10 or 15 years because of I don't know how they do it. Like it is a gift to be able to go into court with all that on the line and gamble on someone's life. But that experience taught me how much I need to appreciate plaintiff's attorneys in large cases, because that guy's whole financial future was sitting in my hands. And if I had screwed it up, like I would have never forgiven myself. So as a defense attorney, I always keep that in mind, that it's more to it than just a person seeking money. There's a story behind the case. And so as a defense attorney, while I'm very cutthroat in the courtroom, and I think people will tell you that, I never disrespect the person, because the people are the reason why I have the life that I have, and my children have the life the way they have, and you have to be respectful of that. And so that case taught me a lot.
Wow, yeah, that's a great story. So, you know, can you tell me a little about, from a marketing perspective, what are you doing today that's most effective for you?
I think still the word of mouth is still good. We were one of the first lawyers in this area to have a website, And so people could find us because a lot of our clients aren't living here in Livingston. Their parents live here and pass away here, but they are living in California and Florida and New York and New Jersey and everywhere else. And they need a local lawyer to probate their parents' estate. And so because of our online presence, with Converted and with Google, they are able to find us and figure out what it is we do for a living and hire us that way. So I would say I've gone from solely word of mouth to passing out a few business cards to having a website and not monitoring it to being very active in now we do the social media because that's how people get their information. If it were up to me, I probably would just go out and shake people's hands and have dinner with them like I used to do. But because of the way the world works and how people get their information on their phones and on their computers, we've had to adapt so that we can attract the people who we can actually help. And those people search for lawyers on the internet and on their phones. So that's what we've been able to do. And I've been very pleased with the efforts that we have done in the last 6 to 8 months to get our name out there because there's a lot of people out there promising a lot of things. Fortunately, we can back up what we talk about with results, and we've been very successful in court and in just settlements in working out people's issues.
I'm curious. So clients are still referred to you, obviously, given the nature of the work that you do and the communities that you're a part of. How do you think somebody that is referred to you uses your website or social to learn more about you, or is that part of their process?
I think it is part of their process. If they get referred by a very well respected attorney, they'll still look up online what my background is to make sure that they're not just sending me to one of their friends, that they're sending me to somebody who can actually help me. And one of the most respected real estate lawyers in this whole state will tell people that he does not litigate. He's only a transactional attorney. So when they get to a point where they need to go to court or they need to defend themselves in court, he will refer them to me. And to me, that's a high honor as an attorney to have the best lawyers telling people that you're good at what you do and that you can help them in their situation. And so I have multiple attorneys that I refer to them and they refer to me. But when the people who have been practicing 45, 35 years, 45 years, 50 years tell people, go see Dana. She can help you with this. Or if anybody can help you, Dana can help you. That is about the highest honor I think you can receive as an attorney.
Absolutely. And, so one of the pieces of data that we have is that even when somebody receives a referral, 100% of the time, they still go check out the lawyer online before they call them. And they might not call them if they don't find the right thing, right? So they don't see the
Right.
name of the website or isn't active on social, or there's an attorney in the area that's much more active and appears to be, more relevant. Then they might actually call that other attorney. So it is critically important to have your online presence. But I think the other thing you're saying is, look, it's almost like an obligation. If I am going to be, my referral sources expect me to show up well in
Right.
everything.
Right.
And
And I'm not going to let them down by doing a half job or not taking care of the people that they were kind enough to send me. So that's a big part of it. I would also say I left out about 10 years ago, I put up a billboard at the request of my husband. I didn't want to do it. I thought all lawyers on billboards were shady. I wasn't going to do it. That created a kind of top of mind experience, but it's only limited to the people who go up and down 59. So the people that were on 190 around here, or the people who were a little bit farther out or regional, couldn't find me because they don't travel on that road. So the billboard is good for local, but it's not good for national people trying to find you. And so my efforts with Converted and the social media and the Google ads and all of those things, making my website more vibrant, those things help people find me no matter how they travel or where they are in the world, they can find me. And so that's
that's a good
been
point.
transformational.
Yep. No, it's definitely part of a well balanced diet. Even if you did it, still run physical ads, having the website to back it up is really important.